This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and I hope I'm not blushing right now, ladies and gentlemen, because I must say, I'm pretty flattered right now. There's an organization who's making a pretty big fuss over little old me. Check this out. This is the website Unmasking the Far Right, and they open it up with this paragraph here. The anti-vax movement may seem a recent response to COVID-19 vaccine and mask mandates and government health orders, but it has its roots in or relationships with far-right, white supremacist, neo-Nazi, fascist, authoritarian, conspiracy theorist-leaning organizations or influencers. Yes, that's quite a mouthful, ladies and gentlemen, and I find it interesting that they go after the so-called anti-vax movement and then they call themselves unmasking the far right, when in fact that's the opposite of what these people want to do. In case you missed this one, guys, these are the protesters who are demanding that mandatory masks return. That's right, if you can believe such a thing. I went to this protest where unhinged masked protesters attacked. Because if somebody shows up who is opposed to their ideas or has a different opinion than them, these unhinged, violent people go on the attack. If you haven't seen that, guys, check out all the links in the description below for that. Ironic that they're calling their organization Unmasking the Far Right, and they attack the so-called anti-vax movement when it looks like that's exactly what they want to do. Now, here is their Twitter account, or X account, formerly known as Twitter, profiles in extremism of the Canadian far right. They've only joined back in February of 2022. And look at this, guys. They have this 22-post thread exposing little old Dan Dicks here of Press for Truth in this huge expose. And I must say, it is quite laughable. So I had to share this one with you today, guys. But before we get into that, I wanted to show you this Go Get funding campaign called Operation Save the Press for Truth. The campaign story is this: the Canadian government granted $270,000 to antihate.ca. This is a website that states that their mission is to monitor, research, and counter so-called hate groups. Guys, in case you didn't know, they flagged me as one of these people that they wanted to go against as a so-called white supremacist. They got my YouTube channel banned. I had 350,000 followers on my Facebook page before that got terminated. 25,000 followers on my Press for Truth Twitter account. That has been deleted. MailChimp account banned. GoFundMe campaigns banned. I was first wrongfully accused of being a white supremacist by a gaggle of BLM and Antifa feminists. I was then wrongfully accused again by an even larger mob, and then I was assaulted by the mob and arrested by the Vancouver Police Department. I was then smeared by the VPD as the instigator, even though my live stream says otherwise. And then GoFundMe, MailChimp, Twitter, YouTube, they all deplatformed me. And the reason why this campaign is seeking to raise $270,000 for the good guys is because that's the amount of money that was given to the anti-hate network to try to wipe out people like me, and that's also just less than $1 for every subscriber that I lost when they terminated my YouTube channel. So if this is something that you guys appreciate, my efforts to continuously bring you this information in the face of people like anti-hate and this so-called unmasking the far right, please check out the top link in the description for Operation Save the Press for Truth. Thank you so much to everybody who does contribute to this campaign today. All right, guys, let's jump into this ridiculous and hilarious thread. Dan Dicks is a Vancouver-based far-right vlogger who posts to social media under the handle Press for Truth. Okay, the opening sentence starts off fair enough, but here's where things get a little dicey. Dicks regularly shows up at LGBTQ, environmental, transgender, and left events. Don't know why they're putting in transgender when that's already literally included in the T part of their LGBTQ. But anyways, they say, I show up pretending to be a neutral, independent journalist just seeking the truth. Far from it, they say. He's a fascist. Case in point, this is where things get good. The Proud Boys. They say the Proud Boys is an exclusively male, North American, far-right, neo-fascist, militant organization that promotes and engages in political violence. Okay, what does Press for Truth and Dan Dicks have to do with this? Let's hear them out here. They were banned in Canada as a terrorist organization 2 years ago. Okay, part of that stemmed from their role in the violence during the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, that was the biggest setup that I've ever seen in my life, and I exposed that at great lengths. They say now the chickens have been coming home to roost. Multiple leaders of the group have been sentenced to prison. With terms ranging from 10 to 18 years, prosecutors are asking the courts to sentence the central leader, Enrique Torrio, to 33 years. Well, guess what? What these unmasking the right people don't know is that the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Torrio, was a prolific informer for law enforcement. This guy has been working with the feds since 2012. And it's not just me reporting on that. The New York Times reported on the fact that the FBI may have had up to 8 informants in the Proud Boys around the time of the January 6th riots. So I am correct to point this out as being an FBI operation. And so here's where they get to the point of where they try to connect me with all of this so that they can call me far-right extremists. Dicks has singled out the 17-year sentence that was handed down to Joe Biggs as particularly unfair. Why? Because he's Dicks's buddy. I know him personally. They're quoting me now. We broke bread together. We shared stories together. Yeah, indeed I did. Me and Joe Biggs go back. This is why I said, and they're quoting me and they're putting videos here, this leads me to believe he genuinely does care about his country, and that he's genuinely a good guy. He's not the kind of person to use violence as the means to, you know, achieve something evil. And if these guys had maybe done just a little bit of digging, they would have found this interview that I did with Joe Biggs way back in 2016. And interestingly enough, guys, the title is Joe Biggs on the Attack of Alex Jones and Getting Burnt by the Flag. I filmed a bunch of violent Antifa-type leftists burning an American flag. Joe Biggs loves his country so much, he ran in there and tried to stop them from burning this flag, and he got injured in the melee. And again, I titled this, Joe Biggs getting burnt by the American flag. Ironic that now he is facing 17 years after being completely set up by the FBI. And this is how they're trying to connect me to being a far-right extremist. So the judge apparently disagrees, they say. So did the jury that convicted him of seditious conspiracy, obstruction of proceedings of conspiracy to use force, yada, yada, yada. They're listing all of Joe Biggs's charges. But because I had dinner with the man once, that again is why I'm a far-right extremist. Talk about a little bit of a stretch. Dicks asks, how can this man be a criminal? This is the U.S. war veteran. This is the man who put his life on the line for his country. He comes back, he sees a mess, gets involved in a protest that is apparently run by a bunch of FBI informants. And then look at this, guys. This is good. And I say, and he's going down. It's just absolutely insane. And they say, Dicks somehow forgets that this guy was also a U.S. war veteran. And now they're trying to link me to the Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing, which, by the way, guys, another FBI inside job if you actually do any research. But talk about a bit of a stretch trying to connect me to that in order to claim that I'm some sort of far right-wing extremist. Now check this out. This is not the first time Dicks has gone out of his way to defend and praise violent fascists. Kyle Rittenhouse has been charged with first-degree murder, so this is quoting me, has been charged with first-degree murder so the cops could please a vicious and violent mob, but I think he's justified in defending himself in the way he did. Absolutely. The day that happened, guys, I was all over it. I put out this one. Context. The truth behind Jacob Blake, Kyle Rittenhouse, and the KENOSHA shooting. Context is important, especially in such a heated climate where people are now dying. 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested today after 2 people were fatally shot and another was injured. Rittenhouse was protecting the private property during a riot which followed the shooting of Jacob Blake, a violent individual who had a warrant out for his arrest. I go on and on. I covered this literally on the day that it happened. And yeah, you're darn right I said these things. They continue to quote me. Not only that, he's as brave as hell and a hero for going into harm's way against these violent leftists and BLM rioters in an effort to protect mom and pop shops that are being destroyed. God bless this young man. And again, I completely stand by those statements. The judge agrees with me this time. Guess what? Kyle Rittenhouse is walking free today because he should be. Let's continue. He enthusiastically supported the convoy's occupation of Ottawa in 2022. Oh no! So if you are supportive of the Freedom Convoy, the truckers who went to Ottawa, this apparently makes you far-right extremist, according to these guys who are using this as their evidence for lumping me into this category. This is the funniest one of them all. He believes that if you're racist, you're probably doing something right. Now, if you haven't seen this video, guys, the really funny part about this video is in this video, I explain that I met this kid once who was working at London Drugs, who was doing some computer repair work for me, and he was familiar with my work. And he says the reason why he became a fan of Press for Truth and he started watching me is because he was following this Reddit subreddit that apparently exposes white supremacist far-right extremists. And when he saw them saying, there's a guy in Vancouver who's one of these far-left right-wing extremists, he's like, hey, I live in Vancouver. If they're calling him that, he's probably doing something right. You know, when these guys call somebody like that, he's probably onto something. So he started watching my stuff. Turned out he loves it. Now he's a total fan. That's exactly what I pointed out in this video that they are sharing for me. So how ironic is that? That is just hilarious. He's anti-Muslim, they say. No. And the reason why they claim that I'm anti-Muslim is because of this video they post here. Going back to Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson's BitChute channel from a video from like over 3 years ago, where she asks me about the call to prayer for Muslims in Vancouver, and I explain in this interview how I find it completely just downright wrong that Christians in Vancouver are being blocked from going to church while the call to prayer for Muslims is allowed to ring loud across the speakers in Vancouver. I still totally stand by that statement.
During Ramadan.
Here I am saying
Yeah,
that.
I think there's something seriously wrong with that when a nation that's founded on Christian principles is currently not allowed to meet at church, yet they are allowing the loudspeakers for Ramadan to play in Canada. There's something...
Guys, if you want to check out all the links to all of the stuff in the description below, again, the stuff that they're pointing at to me being right-wing extremist is so laughable, it's insane. Look at this. He's been a buddy of anti-Semite David Icke for more than a decade. And this is actually kind of impressive because they used altcensored.com to pull up this old video I did with David Icke, like over a decade ago. And in case you didn't know, guys, after my YouTube channel got terminated, this website, Alt-Censored, right before I got terminated, backed up every single one of my videos. Looks like they linked to David Icke's channel that re-uploaded mine. Let's just quickly do a search on here on Alt-Censored for my version of the video. And you'll see it. Yeah, I started interviewing David Icke like ages ago. Here it is. It looks like Icke uploaded it to his channel, but here's my upload here. Back in June of 2013. And again, I'll say, you know, this is from when I was interviewing him over a decade ago. Me and my friend Luke Rudowski took turns interviewing him, and we were helping each other with camera work there. And I've spoken to this guy so many times, like, again, if they did just a little tiny bit of research, they'd see that, yeah, sure, yeah, I've been, you know, doing videos with David Icke for quite some time. But again, it's kind of impressive that they knew to go to alt-censored. Guys, if you ever find one of my videos and it's not playing for any reason, put the title into alt-censored and you'll be able to find it to where these guys backed up all my content. It's pretty awesome. He and Alex Jones go back a long way. Again, oh, I'm associated with David Icke. I'm associated with Alex Jones. This makes me a far-right violent extremist? Yeah, I don't think so. And yeah, guess what? Me and Jones go back like, this is 17 years ago from when we first started working together. He interviewed me here for his film Endgame. And here's where I was in studio with him in Austin, Texas, when he hired me to work on one of his documentary films. Here we are. Oh no, the big lot of us. Look, me and David Icke and Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson and Luke Rudowski all hanging out together. We must be, you know, Illuminati shapeshifters. I don't know what it's just crazy, but I'm kind of find it funny that they're not actually you know, doing a little bit of a digging deeper. Wow, that's a bit of a mouthful for me to say. But anyways, guys, this is like the last funniest thing that they try to discredit me with. He thinks that China is taking over Newfoundland. No, I don't. But anyways, here. A viewer just sent me these photos off the east coast of St. John's, Newfoundland. She saw Chinese and UN flags. Apparently, the HMCS Windsor is carrying out an exercise called Cutlass Fury, a multinational drill where they carry out high-level tactical scenarios with the Canadian Navy. And guess what? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is actually very true. This is the post. These are the photos that were sent to me. And this indeed did happen. So why they would include this is beyond me. But they finalize it with this one, guys. Dan Dicks, not a journalist, not neutral, not your friend, but yes, a real dick. Again, I'm flattered. You know, again, if you can't tell, I might even be blushing because of the amount of attention these people have wanted to put on little old me. Pretty crazy, guys. I'm surprised that I'm not currently blocked by them here on X, formerly known as Twitter. So this is why I wanted to make a quick screenshot video here showing you all this nonsense before they eventually do block me. Once again, guys, if you do appreciate my efforts to expose the kind of nonsense that that makes up these types of individuals, again, please check me out at Operation Save the Press for Truth, so that we can counter all of this kind of a nonsense that we keep getting from groups like Unmasking the Far Right. You know, that's all they have. I went to dinner with Joe Biggs. I worked with Alex Jones and David Icke before in the past. You know, it's just like those BLM and Antifa activists who accused me of being violent white supremacists. You know, I asked them, show me one thing. Surely there's a clip, maybe some audio, maybe a little snippet of a video, maybe anything that you could point to that would prove that I am this white supremacist that you claim that I am. Of course, nobody can come up with anything because there is nothing. This is just one of those labels that they put on us to try to discredit the good work that we are doing. Again, guys, the labels go into far-right, white supremacists, neo-Nazi, fascists, authoritarian, conspiracy theorists. Again, guys, if you appreciate all of my efforts to counter people like this and to bring you this information, again, don't forget to check the top links in the description below. And that's all for today. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. I want to thank my friend Lee, who brought this to my attention just yesterday. You, Lee, will probably get the badge of honor soon as well and be labeled as so-called far-right extremist just for simply bringing this to my attention. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, please click the thumbs up button. Share this video if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this info. Don't forget to check that top link in the description to where you can support my efforts to continue to bring you this info. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. That's all for today. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.